Elite Facts presents
300 shower thoughts. Mammoths still walked the earth when the Great Pyramids were being built. Drunk history might be cool, but think about the potential of high conspiracy theories. Bathtubs are opposite boats. The word fat just looks like someone took a bite out of the word eat. Out of all 7 billion people alive, someone, somewhere in the world, qualifies as the worst human alive. With as much as I use my cell phone, I don't believe it's ever made an appearance in one of my dreams. Bodies are weird. I can run, jump, wakeboard, do cartwheels, and type 90 words per minute, but if I brush my teeth with the wrong hand, it's like time slows down while my brain tries to process what the actual hell is going on. A bachelor party is more appropriate after a divorce than before a wedding. It's crazy that there's this giant thing in the sky all the time that we're not supposed to look at. The entire purpose of a bayonet is to bring a knife to a gunfight. As I grow older, Calvin and Hobbes gets funnier, but Garfield gets worse. I've woken up over 10,000 times and I'm still not used to it. Wizards smoke out of long pipes so they don't risk setting their beards on fire. Between the coffee and the cocaine, it looks like the mission of Columbia is to wake up the world. If you go to jail for tax evasion, you're living off of taxes as a result of not paying taxes. Florida is the only place on earth you can be eaten by an alligator, a shark, a crocodile, or a dude. Do not touch would probably be a really unsettling thing to read in Braille. Dog food could say it's any flavor it wants. You're not going to taste it. My dog understands several human words. I don't understand any dog barks. He may be smarter than me. Fishing would be a lot less popular if fish could scream. There should be a button on the back of the TV that makes the remote beep. If a World War III happens, it would get really awkward online as we're able to talk with our enemies. An easy way to spot a drug dealer is by how fast someone can do weight conversions. The fact that chimps share 99% of their DNA with us is really impressive until you realize that string beans share 50% of it. Whenever I type etc., it usually means I'm completely out of examples. You think you're unique until you have to choose a username. Journalism has gotten to the point that readers are criticized for not fact-checking news articles. Becoming an adult is watching Home Alone and wondering how the parents afforded that house. If combat in Harry Potter is based on saying spells quickly and at the right time, rappers would basically be the magical Navy SEALs. All marijuana is considered medical marijuana if you believe laughter is the best medicine. You don't actually bite down on anything, you bite up. Dogs are the wolves who sold out to the man. Where are you has probably never been asked in sign language. When I drive with my non-dominant hand, the lives of the people in my car are held by something I can't even write my name with. Everyone who I've heard say, "Don't tell me how to raise my child," was not doing a good job at it. When you have a lot, you have hair. When you only have a few, you have hairs. If there's a mean dog or a wild horse in a movie, they have to train an animal to act untrained. Beatboxers must be really good at demonstrating the noise their car has been making when they bring it to a mechanic. You know shit just went down on a TV show when they show the credits with no music. The world isn't getting dumber, it's just easier for dumb people to get their thoughts heard. Food doesn't really go bad, something just starts eating it before you do. As an adult, I think about running away more than I ever did as a kid. In a submarine battle, you can be under fire, underwater, on fire, and taking on water all at the same time. Most orchestras are just 1800s cover bands. Dungeon keys in Zelda work on any door but can only be used once. That is the exact opposite of how a key is supposed to work. Shrek is a movie about loving yourself for who you are despite your physical appearance, but during the entire film, they're making fun of Lord Farquaad for being short instead of all of his other detestable qualities. I think more people are prepared for a zombie apocalypse or alien invasion than their own retirement. If you showed a medieval person a special effect, they'd assume it was magic. If you showed a modern person magic, they'd assume it was a special effect. The person directly in front of you is also a person farthest behind you. If ancient Egyptians used to worship cats and write on walls, then the internet made us the modern Egyptians. Technically speaking, aliens invaded the moon on July 20th, 1969. We live in an age where your last words may be an emoticon. If Elon Musk really is our Tony Stark, we should trap him in a cave until he creates a fusion reactor. Weird Al Yankovic has managed to remain culturally relevant for longer than most of the people he's parodied. It's a good thing Dr. Seuss books come with pictures, because otherwise I'd have no fucking clue what he was talking about. The most suspicious thing you can bring on a plane is a parachute. There's a big bag of deadly acid in the middle of my body, and I'm supposed to be totally okay with that. On any given day in a hospital, you can find people having the best day of their life, the worst day of their life, the first day of their life, and the last day of their life, all under one roof. If reincarnation is real, I wonder if I've ever read anything about my previous life without realizing it. My baby only says baby. This is the closest I'll ever be to having a Pokemon. Watching parkour experts playing tag would be awesome. A pizza is circular, but everyone eats it from the inside out. Everyone's first bite starts at the exact center of a pizza. If the Pope sneezes, nobody is in a high enough position of power to bless him. The only reason I look at a bad driver is to see if I can confirm a stereotype. TV really made me believe that soufflés being ruined would be a frequent problem. What if planet Earth is the Noah's Ark of the galaxy, and that's why we can't find other life on other planets? It was destroyed long ago. It's pretty rare to use an entire pen without losing it first. On the other hand, it's pretty common to find a pen already out of ink, so it's a paradox in a way. If you're over 30, you were alive before every dog in the world. What if all the ancient Greek sculptures are actually victims of Medusa? Ever noticed how supervillains are always trying to change things and superheroes always try to resist the change? The skeleton isn't inside you, you're the brain, so you're inside the skeleton. A Batman movie from the point of view of a random street gang would probably be a lot like the film Predator. I would rather spend 10 extra minutes driving on an empty road than be in traffic. In the event of an apocalypse, I would spend the first 20 minutes wondering why the internet doesn't work. Sweater is kind of a gross name for a piece of clothing. The first woman to ever have twins must have been really confused. If we found ants as they exist here on Earth on another planet, we'd consider them a civilization. Milk is a flavor of chocolate, but chocolate is a flavor of milk. People claim with surprise that Eskimos have 100 words for snow, but ignore that makeup companies have 1,000 words for light brown. My standard of living is far greater than that of a king in medieval times. I haven't heard a damn thing about acid rain since high school. Mosquitoes are like dirty used needles that can fly. It would be really weird if emotional dramas had cry tracks, similar to sitcoms with their laugh tracks. If I still use my college ID to get dollars off movie tickets years after graduation, if I see 10,000 movies, my diploma will have pretty much paid for itself. Girl Scouts is basically a brand name cookie company that gets away with cheap labor. Sleeping in is considered lazy, but going to bed early is not. I can't check the time because my watch is doing a software update. Probably the most ridiculous thing I've said all week. We need a rival planet. I want to get a parrot and train it to say, "I've been turned into a parrot." Driving tests should include jumping a car, changing a tire, and checking basic fluids. Would humans have invented airplanes if all animals were flightless? Was Bingo the name of the farmer or the dog? We named every moon in our solar system but our own. I know my way around the Grand Theft Auto maps way better than I do the city I've lived in my whole life. What if Deadpool is actually a romantic comedy and the film's marketing team has tricked men into thinking it was an action comedy? The lottery is a great example of how, if everyone just pitched in a couple of dollars, how much money could be accumulated to get something big done. Netflix needs an incognito mode so that I can watch terrible films without getting recommended more terrible films. Pulled hamstrings sound delicious if you don't know what they are. People who cook at home try to make their food taste like a professional made it, while restaurant chefs try to make their food taste more like homemade. A laser tag arena would be an intense place for a cat. I correct autocorrect more than it corrects me. My brain knows how to type without looking at the keyboard, yet I can't draw a QWERTY keyboard from memory. People argue with me more in my head than they do in real life. 2 days off, typical weekend. 3 days off, well rested. 4+ days off, forget every single element of what it takes to be a functional member of society. Witches have black cats because if they had white cats, they would have white cat hair all over their clothes. Actors get paid more to pretend to go into space than astronauts get paid to actually go. There should be a show called The King of Bel-Air where Will Smith plays a similar role Uncle Phil was playing in The Fresh Prince. In the Deadpool movie, it would be awesome if Deadpool recognized Stan Lee in the cameo. The first person to make popcorn must have been seriously freaking out. Why don't Jedi turn off their opponent's lightsabers by force pressing the button? In the movie Terminator 2, the Terminator and the T-1000 talking on the phone were two AI machines trying to convince each other that they were humans. In Stuart Little, the Little family walked into an orphanage, looked at every child there, and decided on a rodent. The 80s parents owned a huge VHS camcorder and they filmed everything. Now that there's a video camera in their pockets, they film nothing. The moral of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is that no one likes you unless you're useful. We don't appreciate the times that we don't have a cold nearly enough as we should. We put clocks in our mobile phones so we don't need to look at watches. Now we put mobile phones in our watches so we don't need to look at our mobile phones. I never realized how short a month is until I started paying rent. Do bald men use shampoo when they shower, or do they wash their head with body wash soap? I drive safer when there's food on my passenger seat than when there's a person sitting there. Some people's PIN numbers are 6173, and reading this probably makes them want a new one. The answer to the question, is the glass half full or half empty, is fairly simple and depends on if the glass was just emptied or filled. Imagine getting a QR code tattoo so that if they find your body and scan it, they'd get rickrolled. A fine is a tax for doing bad. A tax is a fine for doing well. If your neighbor has wind chimes, you have wind chimes. That no alcohol beyond this point sign may as well say, bet you can't chug that whole beer. A girl's butthole has statistically been seen a lot more by her partner than by her. Lions can jump 36 feet in one bounce, and we attribute this fun fact to every single lion. But we don't say humans can dunk and attribute that to every single human. When saying the phrase Control, Alt, Delete, people never use the full version of Alt. My fingers are very slowly 3D printing my fingernails. The two main characters of the show VeggieTales are a tomato and a cucumber. Neither are technically vegetables. The speed of a clock's second hand is exactly 1 RPM. I got hit by a train in my dream and it woke me up. I got knocked conscious. When the book for a class is written by a professor, it's like they're trying to give you their mixtape. It's crazy that nobody in a zombie movie has ever seen a zombie movie. There are more women named Ashley Madison than women on Ashley Madison. Only one company is allowed to produce the board game Monopoly, which seems tragically ironic. In FBI shows, cops are incompetent, untrained simpletons who just get in the way. In cop shows, the FBI are bureaucratic, incompetent simpletons who just get in the way. Vampires only suck on your blood for vitamin D because they can't go out in the sun themselves. Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl got incredibly lucky when they named their son Dash, as they had no way of knowing he'd have super speed as a superpower. There should be a gym where the membership fee is extremely high at the beginning of your month, but you earn money back every day you end up going and working out for at least an hour. Someone's therapist knows all about you and probably thinks it's your fault. The best item to protect you from Sasquatch attacks is a camera. There should be confetti in the tires, so when there's a blowout, it's still kind of an okay day. Belts are gross. They're the first thing we touch after using the toilet, and nobody ever washes them. The healthiest marriage in TV history is between Gomez and Morticia Addams. The song Hotel California is basically a bad Yelp review with a 3-minute guitar solo. The word for symmetry should have been a palindrome. We never actually see a full moon, it's only ever a half moon. After more than 2,000 years of technological advances, girls are still wearing the same sandals used in ancient Rome. You can tell that the Flintstones lived a very long time ago because they're a single-income working-class family with their own house. Touch-free soap dispensers are pretty much pointless if the soap actually works. If someone farts at a poker tournament, no one will ever know who did it. My friend asked to use a USB port to charge his cigarette, but I was using it to charge my book. The future is stupid. Michael Jackson simultaneously blurred the line between black and white, man and woman, and grown-up and child. Do it like they do on the Discovery Channel now means people should gather abandoned storage units and bid on them. In the original Dracula movie from 1931, Dracula and Van Helsing are played by Bela Lugosi and Edward Van Solen, so their names are Bella and Edward. Telling someone that changing subjects in a conversation is your fetish would put them in a very awkward position. Mom jokes are jokes about your mom, but dad jokes are jokes told by your dad. Plastic bags are the city version of tumbleweeds. When a toilet seat is cold, it's horrible, but when it's warm, it's worse. Minors have less freedom to do legal things, but more freedom to do illegal things. I'm bored when I listen to a song from my personal music library, but when it's played on the radio, I get excited. Making fun of a fat person at the gym is like making fun of a homeless person at a job fair. Dogs probably destroy shoes because they see humans put them on before they leave the house. Who the hell would choose to live in Gotham City? You could never dig half of a hole. Can I help you? Really means, you look suspicious. Who are you and what are you doing here? Cinemas should have audio jacks on chairs so you can drown out annoying people with your headphones. Spider-Man would be way less cool if he wasn't living in a city full of skyscrapers. Fireplace is probably the laziest name for any object. To aliens, Earth must look like the desperate loser that keeps sending messages nobody responds to and can't take a hint. The DMV should make keychain-sized driver's licenses so nobody can drive without carrying their licenses by accident. YouTube should have the opposite of a subscribe button that makes channels disappear from your feed completely. The more serious a relationship gets, the more casual it is. How many GoPros are lying in snow mountains containing the last moments of their owners' lives? There is no point to having an eject button on the DVD remote. Why is it there then? If snails are slow, why don't we ever see them coming? It's like, boom, there's a snail. If a baby is born at 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in New York, 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time the previous day, and a baby is born 1 hour later in Los Angeles, 11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the second child is born legally older, while actually being 1 hour younger. What seriously blows my mind is that NASA is able to receive data from a 4.67 billion miles far away spacecraft, while people can still lose Wi-Fi signal once they move into the kitchen. The easiest way to enrage someone is to tell them to relax. Antarctica must have the highest average IQ of any continent. The average number of fingers on July 3rd is higher than on July 4th. You can judge a book by its cover, the back cover. There's a summary on it. There should be a new Home Alone movie where Macaulay Culkin is the burglar. Horror movies should include a blooper section to help people relax before bed. Saying I live at work sounds a lot more hardcore than I work at home. In science fiction, humans are the race whose goal is to get along with every other race. In nonfiction, humans can't even get along with themselves. Blood you've donated could be in someone's boner right now. You never know how many people you dislike until you have to name your child. If you turn on your light switch with your middle finger, you're flipping it on and off at the same time. Princess Leia is technically a Disney princess now. Mozilla Firefox sounds like a mythical creature. Accidentally typing our instead of your can change your text message from normal to creepy in an instant. Earth is the least peaceful planet in our solar system. The amount of real-world success on a Facebook user's life is usually inversely proportional to the amount of inspiration life advice type images they post. For someone somewhere in America, today is the last day they'll wake up with 10 fingers. Does my dog think I'm a hypocrite because I poo in the house? If you can't find an American flag to face during the anthem, you could just face the moon. Whoever decided beards are unprofessional probably couldn't grow one. Have you ever heard a woman narrate a movie trailer? Chat roulette should shadow ban masturbating men by secretly connecting them only to other shadow banned people. Horror movies are a lot less scary when you root for the villain. 5 o'clock is the 4:20 for heavy drinkers. You know, you could look up pictures of Daft Punk without helmets, but you don't want to ruin the magic. Naming a cat Meow automatically makes it able to introduce itself. Spilling a beer is the adult equivalent to losing a balloon. If you texted, "I heard what you said about me" to every person in your phone, you could find out some real shit for sure. I used to have to watch my swearing because I was a kid amongst adults. Now I have to watch my swearing because I'm an adult amongst kids. The question, "I am as bored as you are," can be read backwards and still make sense. Han Solo doesn't seem so great when you realize who his real-world analog would be, a trucker doing smuggling for drug cartels who shot a gun in a bar. If you don't spell incorrectly correctly, you're spelling incorrectly incorrectly. Being a wealthy Nigerian with legitimate overseas interest must be really hard. From the machine's point of view, the Matrix is a cautionary tale on the importance of securing your wireless network. What if the spider I killed in my home has spent his entire life thinking he was my roommate, and that suddenly I had some sort of psychotic break? Tissues should change in color as you get through the box to warn you that you're approaching the last tissue. According to a study, when you begin a sentence according to a study, people will believe anything you say. The only correct answer to "Are you sleeping?" is no. Half a dozen is a very inefficient way of saying 6. Babysitters are teenagers who act like adults so adults can go out and act like teenagers. Noses run, but feet smell. If humans ever become enslaved by artificial intelligence, the Amish are going to be so pissed. Bill Gates and you have a combined fortune of around $80 billion. Movies should be rated on how many tickets were sold versus how much money was made, because inflation makes monetary records meaningless. If you swap spinach for beer, then any episode of Popeye becomes a bitter story of a raging alcoholic, right down to the speech impediment and tendency to fight people who he believes are trying to steal his girl. Whenever you feel useless, remember that you produce carbon dioxide for the plants. People do not hate Mondays, they hate their jobs. The internet is full of cats because dog people go outside. It's 2015. Why can't you unselect a floor in an elevator yet? A man will treat a woman like a princess until she starts to act like one. Aliens living millions of light years away haven't invaded us yet in fear of dinosaurs that telescopes show on Earth. The only reason his name is Aquaman is because it couldn't have been Seaman. Pac-Man was the first survival game with the undead chasing you. Dora calls herself an explorer, but travels exclusively through mapped territories. A broken clock is exactly right twice a day, but a clock set 1 minute too fast is never ever exactly right. Technically speaking, wouldn't your best friend be your worst enemy? How did hamsters ever survive in the wild? The human brain is one of the most complex things known to man, according to the human brain. There are more bacterial cells in your body than human cells. You're totally blind for hours every day, but sadistic masking renders you totally aware of it. Outer space is only an hour's drive away if your car could drive straight up. 1,000,000 seconds is 11 days. 1,000,000,000 seconds is 31 years. If you properly shuffle a pack of cards, chances are that exact order has never been seen before in the whole history of the universe. If you looked at Earth from 6 million light years away, you would see dinosaurs. You're not stuck in traffic, you are the traffic. Everything you see is delayed. We judge ourselves by our intentions and others by their behaviors. All planets in the solar system fit between the Earth and the Moon. The Sun does not. Russia is bigger than Pluto. There's no reason for the alphabet to be in that order. A zombie outbreak could be prevented if people were buried with their shoelaces tied together. Cowboys that ride off into the sunset quickly run out of daylight and have to camp just outside of town. Probably should have just stayed put for the night instead of being all dramatic. Depression is like when your mind and heart stop loving each other but still eat at the same dinner table together. Instead of looking up into the sky, you're actually gazing down into the infinite cosmic abyss with only gravity holding you to the surface of the Earth. It's amazing to think that nighttime is actually the natural state of the universe, and the only reason we have daytime is because the Earth just so happens to be facing a giant star illuminating it. If I think in my own voice, does my dog think in his own barks? Non-smokers get the time smokers get for cigarette breaks at the end of their lives. Being old means referring to 3 a.m. as really early instead of really late. When I was a kid, people got really pissed if you read their diaries. These days, kids put their diaries on the internet and get pissed if you don't read them. You're on your own must sound exotic to people who don't speak English. You're on your own? Is that the name of your holy city? Daredevil's super senses mean he's constantly hearing and smelling every possible fart around him. In a city that densely populated, he must live in a constant cloud of flatulence. Taking candy from a baby would actually be a responsible thing to do. Every time you've beaten a computer at chess, it's because it lets you win. Humans spend the first 18 or more years of their lives getting caught up to speed about what the other humans have been doing for the past few thousand years. No one has ever been in an empty room. When The Simpsons first aired, I was 10 years old, the same age as Bart. Today, I'm Homer's age. To the dinosaurs, we live in a post-apocalyptic future. On a clear day, I can only see about 4 miles to the horizon, but on a clear night, I can see millions of light years. During childhood, we're told that jokes about the genital areas are adult content, but once we become adults, these jokes are considered childish. Waterboarding at Guantanamo Bay sounds super rad, if you don't know what either of those things are. Every cell in my body knows how to replicate DNA, yet I'm not in on it, so I have to spend hours studying it. For most of human history, vehicles had automatic collision avoidance and could even take you home when you were sleeping or drunk. Then we got rid of the horse. Coming from a big family, I don't know what's more sad, that one of us will have to go to 7 funerals or that one of us won't have to go to any. The sinking of the Titanic must have been a miracle to the lobsters in the kitchen. Our bodies can turn chocolate milk into pee. My right elbow has never been touched by my right hand. Since we renew every cell in our bodies every 7 years, we're all at most 7 years old. If I'm lucky, my internal organs will never see the light of day. How far back in history do you have to go before it's considered archaeology instead of grave robbing? Everyone actually has 3 voices, the one in your head, the one you hear when you talk, and the one that everyone else hears instead. Maybe Smith is a common surname because blacksmiths were never forced to serve in combat roles during wartime. We say hair when referring to lots of it, but we say hairs when referring to a few. What if our use of emojis gradually becomes so extensive that we actually circle back to writing in hieroglyphics? There should be a superhero named Placebo Man. He doesn't actually have any superpowers at all. He's just a normal guy that everyone thinks is a superhero. The only time the word incorrectly is spelled incorrectly is when it's spelled incorrectly. If you did something like a boss, you'd probably just pay someone else to do it. Unless you're a celebrity, Twitter is talking to yourself in a crowded room. We will never hear about the truly perfect crime. Killing a spider makes the spider gene pool sneakier and more deadly. Lobsters are mermaids to scorpions. I will be the last person to die in my lifetime. The Swiss must have been pretty confident in their chances of victory if they included a corkscrew on their army knives. Childbirth is literally an emergency. Newborns are always crying because any discomfort is literally one of the worst things they have ever experienced. If job ads say must be fluent in Mandarin, why don't they post the entire ad in Mandarin? That way, only genuinely fluent people could apply. There should be an optional "people are sleeping" button on the microwave to stop from all the extra loud beeping. The iconic alien is to us what we are to apes: small, pale, big-headed, and with unfathomable technology. We even abduct them for medical experiments. I wonder if there are any times on the clock I've never seen. If two people on opposite sides of the world each drop a piece of bread, the earth briefly becomes a sandwich. Every day, someone on Earth unknowingly does the biggest poo in the world that day.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more elite facts.